Hello and welcome as we take a trip to the top of Europe, the Jungfraujoch. We are going to take trains and cable cars to visit a very iconic place in the Bernese Alps, and that's the Jungfraujoch, which is a saddle between two peaks, the Mönch and the Jungfrau. On the right we have the Jungfrau, which means virgin. On the left we have Eiger, which means ogre, and standing between the two is the Mönch, or monk, who is protecting the Virgin from the mean old ogre. We start the journey by train in Interlaken Ost and take it up the same route towards Lauterbrunnen, but instead we'll turn left and head over to Grindelwald. And the train conveniently stops at the Grindelwald terminal, which is where we'll catch the cable car for our next leg of the trip. So leaving the Interlaken Ost railway station, we get a glimpse of our destination. The train follows the Lucina River up to the little village of Zweiluchinen, so called because the Schwarz Lucina and the Weiss Lucina join here. The Weiss Lucina, or white, flows to Lauterbrunnen, and the Schwarz Lucina flows to Grindelwald. We get off the train at the Grindelwald terminal to take the cable car up to the Eiger glacier so that we can catch the train then to the Jungfraujoch. Grindelwald looks very lovely, but we're on a mission to get to the Eiger glacier. And we take this tri-cable gondola from the Grindelwald terminal and change at the Jungfrau railway at the glacier itself. You can see the Eiger just to the left, and by the way, we're traveling roughly 4 times speed going up this cableway. But once we get there, you'll be close enough to just reach up and touch the Eiger. One ticket will get you travel on all these venues, the cable car and the rail. But be aware that it's fairly expensive to do that, but worth every penny. And there you can see one of the snow sheds for the railway. Once again, on our left is the Eiger, and looking straight ahead, you can see the top of the Jungfrau, and next to her is the Mönch. We also get a quick glimpse down into the Lauterbrunnen Valley. You have to be prepared as you get close to the terminal. As you get into the terminal itself, the cable car does not stop, but it slows down and goes around a little loop, and you have to actually get out while it's moving. So while we wait for the Jungfrau train, we go out onto the balcony here by the cable car station and take a look at the absolutely gorgeous sights. That's the Jungfrau looking straight ahead right there, and then to the left is the Mönch. And here right in front of us is the very dirty Eiger glacier. You get just stunning views up here, and then we can look down and see the terminus of the Jungfrau railway, which we will go down to and get on the train shortly. Here's another view of the Jungfrau, and then we turn and look at the Mönch. We head indoors to the train station, the train platform itself, which is inside, which is probably a good idea in the winter time. Not many people. Here's a look at the cogs on the track itself. This train is an engineering marvel, and it was started in 1896, and it actually goes through a tunnel underneath the Eiger and the Mönch. And it was finished in 1912 when the first train traveled through there on a 9.3 kilometer route. There wasn't much to photograph on the way because we were in tunnels most of the way, so we did catch a couple of photos just before we went into the tunnels. Then we arrived at the Jungfraujoch, and interestingly enough, the station is several hundred feet below the attraction, and you have to take an elevator to get to it. It's worth noting that the Jungfraujoch is almost 12,000 feet high, and at the time the temperature was 5 degrees centigrade, which is 41 Fahrenheit, so it was a little chilly. Once you arrive at the Jungfraujoch, you get stunning views of the Eastwood glacier, which is the largest glacier in the Alps, and it's 22 kilometers long. And unfortunately, it is also being affected by global warming, and it's shrinking, and they're keeping a very, very close eye on it. The views are absolutely stunning, and we can look in one direction towards the Lauterbrunnen Valley, and behind us is the glacier. There's also an observatory up here. There's a great look at the glacier itself, but what was surprising to us were the number of people that were down on the glacier, and also 2 helicopters. They must be people with some really deep pockets to be able to fly up onto the glacier. And it's got to be tough for helicopters, because that's close to probably 10,000 feet down there. In addition to the helicopters, I was quite surprised to see a parasailer, and he has to be close to 14,000 feet, and I have no idea how he got there. Of course, there's still quite a bit of snow up there, so I tried my hand with my just plain old walking shoes heading up the slope. But the views up there were well worth it. Oh, did I say plain old walking shoes? Yes. Whoops! Fall down and go boom. And snow was soft though. And if you're so inclined, there's even time to throw a snowball, and I hope he doesn't hit anybody down on the glacier. So now we take the elevator back down to the Ice Palace, which is right within the Jungfrau Glacier itself. And it's below freezing because there's ice down here. It's decorated with some very interesting and kind of fun Swiss themes. And to get to the glacier itself, there are several moving walkways that you can go down. You can see one of them there. As we changed to another walkway, there was this fellow standing here, and I have no idea what he is, but he must be some sort of ice monster. As we proceeded down the moving walkway, the walls had documentation of the effort that it took to build this railway under the mountains. And then we entered the last rock tunnel just before we hit the ice. And now we're completely under the glacier. Everything around us is ice, including the floor. There were a number of very fun ice sculptures, I think some 40 of them in the glacier itself. Penguins, and even one of Charlie Chaplin, the tramp and the kid. It looks like it may have melted a little bit, can't tell. So we near the end of the ice tunnel and proceed back into the rock area and start to head back down. We take the railway through the tunnels back down to the Eiger glacier and then board the gondola to head back to the Grindelwald terminal. Of course, the ride back down was just as spectacular as it was going up, so we got another look at the face of the Eiger and then back down into Lauterbrunnen Valley. Just as a heads up, as the cable car goes through these towers, it has a tendency to shake and sway a little bit, but not to be concerned. We got down, we got a view of the railway also that goes down, and it goes to Kleine Scheidegge, which we will discuss somewhat later. And there we can see the village of Grindelwald. We would like to have some time to go back and actually explore the village a little bit. We see some iconic Swiss houses, and I am sure there's some cows down there with cowbells on. Well, from here, from the Grindelwald terminal, we then just jump on the train and head back to Interlaken. Well, that's it. I sure hope you enjoyed this little tour of the Jungfraujoch, and I highly recommend it. If you're anywhere near Interlaken, Grindelwald, or Lauterbrunnen, spend the money and go up and see this. It is absolutely amazing. Now, if you would press the subscribe button, I'd greatly appreciate it, and here's some other videos that you might find interesting.